No, it's going on right now. We just started. Normally, yeah. Hello?
Hey, I'm here. Sorry, I just noticed to talk.
Oh, sorry. Do you mean like this title up here?
Yeah, before the second one.
For inventory?
Mm-hmm.
That right there?
Yeah, it doesn't show.
Huh. So technically, all that needs to recognize is the first cell on the left. Did you merge a bunch of cells together to make the header?
Yes.
Yeah, so all it needs to do is recognize, like for me, I did B4. Before I was doing like, I had it putting a title in all of these, and then a little box would come up and you'd have to click OK. But you only have to, it only has to recognize that one cell. Let's see if I can find.
Doesn't show data.
Oh, I see what the problem is. I've got both my projects open. I need to close one. Close that one. Let's see. So inventory report, macro. There it is.
So what's your problem?
Wait, let me. So with yours, the code is. So there's it's range. So they don't show us this one, but it's called the end state or the if statements.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a with statement.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get this on here? And here, there we go. So this section right here is what I have. So it selects that row range right there. And this is just the process. This is part of it too.
Where it says the range select on top, I have the title. Between.
Did you type in the title as part of the macro?
Yes.
Huh.
I did
You
it
know what you
exactly
know what I
like
did for problems like this? Um, with and I did it with the second project is because I had trouble getting the title on the second project. Um, I would open up a separate Excel sheet and then I would like set a couple of cells up like with what I wanted it to do, and then I would record a macro of me doing it. And then I copied that out of the Visual Basic and then put it into the coding of what I wanted.
okay.
So what you could do is, but it helps. So you have to like completely close out what you're working on, open up a new Excel. But let's say you wanted to add a title and, uh, oops, this was blank. You could just set this up in a separate Excel sheet and record a macro of you adding it,
Mm-hmm.
and then go in and copy that coding. Like, so just do the one thing and then stop it so you have that one really small macro.
Just
So
copy
you
and
could
paste it.
so you could go in to Visual Basic, copy it, and then paste it into a Word document because it won't paste from one Visual Basic to the other. And then close that out. Don't even bother saving it. And then go into your project and like down at the bottom of that macro, copy and paste the coding from the Word document into Visual Basic. And it like it doesn't look the same on the Word document, but when you paste it back into Visual Basic, it looks the same as it was. And then it should run. That's what I did with the second project. Because like on the title up here, it was it wasn't it wasn't giving me like a large font and a bolded font. So I made a separate macro to see what it would do, and then I copied and pasted that into the macro of my project, and it ended up working. I had some issues with the column widths too, like it wasn't they wouldn't make it wide enough. So I went in and did that. So you could actually just it's a little tedious, but um because I wanted to see what the coding looked like all by itself if I just did it in a separate sheet, and then I ended up just kind of experimenting, and it ended up working. So what you could do in a separate sheet is like set up this top part, and then record a macro of you typing in the title and making it how you want to look, and then stop that recording, and then copy and paste that macro from one Visual Basic into the other.
Okay.
And I think that'll work. My problem is you see these little green error marks?
Yeah, what is that?
I
I know what it says in error on the formula, but
Yeah, and the thing is, and I don't know because everything's correct. There's no errors.
you
But
just copy and paste it, right?
well, uh it's actually indexed. So it's indexing um whatever is in these cells, because the idea is you could get a separate report on this sheet like for the next month coming, but if it's in this worksheet that you could pull one of these up, and then so each one of these is just an index lookup from whatever cell from in here. The thing is, I've got these green, and you can like make them go away.
Just decided to do, yeah, you can make them go away. I don't know because I just copy and paste it. You know, just to copy and paste.
Can you just copy and paste it? Because the thing is, you're not. Yeah, I
Yeah, it says
guess.
generate a report. See that only consists of the item data by copying the item.
Yeah, that's probably the issue.
But yeah, in number 3 it says generate report of the inventory data by copying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm giving credit to you for even trying to index. That's awesome.
I don't know why it would give me that error because there isn't an error. It's exactly the only thing I can think of is that it's formatted differently, but this is the way they went.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But that's pretty cool.
I just wish it didn't have those error marks.
I just noticed that I didn't include it.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just make like a mini macro on a separate Excel sheet and then copy and paste that into a Word document to save it and then add that to your macro like down at the bottom and
Yeah.
then it should work because that's what I did with my other one.
Okay.
And no, oops. Yeah, that's what I did with my other project. Um,
And the second one hard.
hmm. Um, it's not hard. So this is the second one.
They give
Um,
you that information and you put it, you input it in.
hmm.
Information. Do they give it to you?
Yeah. Um, what is going on here? So this is the second one. Um, the key to this, the hardest part for this one is so they want you to when you first check on this. So the Visual Basic for this one. So what you have to do is you have to make a macro of you formatting all of this to make it look like you want it. Um, so you have to do that. And then you have to make a macro of it going back to its original state like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make a macro of this formatted like this. And then make a macro of so that when you uncheck it, it goes back to what it was originally. But they also want you to make it so that when this box comes up, if you click no, that it stays like that, and then this little checkbox goes away, the check mark. And that was the hardest thing. The thing is, you have to link this checkbox to a cell, and then you can make it so that so this is the Visual Basic, and this is all I really did to add. So if range K3 and that's this right here, this linked cell here, you know how it like if you click it, it's true. If you unclick it, it's false.
Mm-hmm.
So you do this. If it's true, then pull up a message box, and this is what it asks for, and it pulls up a yes, no, and that's the warning. So then if you click yes, then it has to do an input box of what month it is, and it puts it in just the one. And this is it where it says range B3. It's really this whole thing, but it's only B3. If you put in the full range, it kind of messes it up. And then otherwise, it's this little, you do this little section right down here. So clear formatting is the macro of getting rid of everything. And then I did this. This is what I did this with the extra Excel. I like ran a mini macro to see what it would be. So you select K3, and then if it's false, then then it gets rid of the check mark. Active cell dot formula R1C1 equals false, and that's get rid of the check mark, I guess.
Okay.
So the way there, because the thing is, if you do a macro and you get rid of all the formatting and then you uncheck the format box, it doesn't include unchecking the format box or the checkbox as part of the macro. because I guess this checkbox has nothing to do with all of these. But if you make it so that it recognizes this as false, it'll uncheck it for you, and that's this little section down here. Not the clear formatting is everything else, and then this select K3 active cell formula equals false. So that means if you click no, it'll clear the format, and then it will make this box say false. And if this box says false, it'll automatically uncheck this for you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That was the hardest thing for me, was trying to figure out how to make this box uncheck. But
yeah, I wouldn't even know how to begin.
yeah, it'll make sense once you go through the lesson. It's mostly you have to make a macro of you formatting this and then unformatting it, and then there's these little message boxes they'll talk about, and it'll show you how to set them up. It's these little so this is the name of the message box, and then the actual command to open a message box is this, and then this is actually like a formula, kind of like an if statement or something. So it'll make sense after you go through the lesson. But the key, because they want you, like if you click on the box and then decide, oh, I don't want to do the formatting, then if you click no, then it unformats this box, it unclicks this box. But it's because this link and this box are connected. So if you make this box say false, this will uncheck by itself. And it'll make sense when you...
I'm gonna assume that, yeah, that's the last question.
Yeah.
All right, well, finish 18 tonight for sure.
Yeah. I'll give you some time. I had a question.